ripped the heart out of the entire fandom. That is how some outraged viewers have described the tumultuous launch of the anime adaptation for the beginning after the end. Imagine going into the spring anime lineup of the year 2025 with sky-high hopes, only to watch your beloved webcomic brought to life in ways you never expected, perhaps never even wanted. Now, a second season has been confirmed, and fans are both stunned and divided. So what is really happening with this show? And why are tens of thousands of viewers campaigning to end it? Today we will dissect the firestorm surrounding the beginning after the end, explore what triggered this massive wave of criticism, and see how the production team plans to move forward despite the backlash. First, let us dive right into the heart of the controversy, the petition that sprang up almost immediately after episode 1 arrived. According to disillusioned viewers, the anime deviated so sharply from TurtleMe's original vision that some declared it unrecognizable. The webcomic had built up an enormous and loyal community, largely because of its compelling take on rebirth and epic storytelling. Both fans of the North American-inspired fantasy world and general anime enthusiasts were counting down the days until they could finally watch the story of Arthur Lewin unfold on their screens. But the final product, to put it mildly, did not sit well with a massive chunk of the audience. What exactly went wrong during that initial premiere? Many fans pointed to jarring pacing decisions as the first sign of trouble. In a matter of minutes, the anime supposedly barreled through major plot arcs that had taken the webcomic multiple chapters to address. This left viewers feeling disconnected from the emotional weight of key events, such as Arthur's internal struggles or the intricacies of the world building. On top of that, rumors began circulating that there were behind-the-scenes difficulties with the production schedule. From questionable voice direction to claims of animation shortcuts, fans rapidly picked up on anomalies that made them wonder if the adaptation had been rushed to meet a release window. Despite these concerns, multiple segments of the online community tried to remain positive, hoping that subsequent episodes would right the ship. However, when episode 2 dropped, the narrative and visual hiccups seemed to persist, with many critics saying that the show was skipping crucial developmental scenes for side characters. One of the unique aspects of the original webcomic was how thoroughly it explored various personalities around Arthur, making the story feel like a tapestry of interwoven destinies. Suddenly, instead of deeply experiencing each character's motivations, watchers were fed quick, superficial glimpses of potential conflict. As tensions grew, longtime webcomic followers started to speak out, urging the studios involved, Crunchyroll, Tapas, and the animation house ACAT, to slow down and respect the original pacing that made the beginning after the end so gripping. Amid the outcry, the petition to cancel the anime began circulating on social media. It gained momentum stunningly fast, collecting over 50,000 signatures within a matter of weeks. The petition did not only demand a stop to the ongoing production, but also called for a complete restart under different creative leadership. Some signers wanted more faithful character renditions, while others insisted that a new staff was necessary to recapture the spirit of the webcomic. The real shock came when even a handful of content creators on major video platforms started to share the petition, pushing it further into the public eye. One of the biggest catalysts that fueled this movement was a viral thread in which fans spliced key scenes from the anime with panels from the webcomic. The stark difference between the dynamic expressions and nuanced dialogue in the source material versus the flat or rushed style in the anime was enough to outrage watchers who had waited years for this adaptation. While some viewers trivialized these criticisms as nitpicking, a considerable majority argued that the heart and soul of Arthur's transformation, his emotional baggage and moral growth, was missing. Instead of seeing a layered character navigating a reincarnated life with all its complexities, audiences felt they were watching a simplified, almost generic fantasy hero. Before we proceed to the next explosive twist, let me highlight something important. If this deep dive is resonating with you, consider tapping that like button to show your support. It really helps keep the conversation going about adaptations and the potential pitfalls that can derail them. Now, let us keep exploring the big question. If so many fans have turned on this anime so vehemently, how has the creative team been reacting? TurtleMe, the original webcomic creator, eventually issued a statement. The message was direct. The negativity had reached such a pitch that it threatened to overshadow any possibility of constructive dialogue. TurtleMe asked fans to be respectful of the anime team's efforts, while also acknowledging the deep bond readers had developed with the source material. This moment seemed to split the fandom even further, with some rallying behind the idea that these issues needed time to be resolved, and others feeling their concerns were being dismissed. Still, a glimmer of hope emerged when the show's producers referenced a willingness to incorporate feedback, even if the extent of those adjustments remained unclear. To everyone's surprise, though, the series continued its planned release schedule, culminating in the forthcoming finale. According to official announcements, Episode 12 is slated to drop on Wednesday, June 18th at 10:25 a.m. Pacific Time, an exact detail that fans are no doubt burning into their calendars. But what truly shocked the community was the bombshell that arrived just a short while ago. The beginning after the end is not merely wrapping up Season 1, it is coming back with a second season. For a show that has been enveloped in so much polarization, the news felt both electrifying and perplexing, which leads us to the next major development. The early teaser clip that Crunchyroll unveiled, offering a glimpse of Arthur's updated design for Season 2. This new look sparked a fresh wave of chatter, with some fans joking that it was nothing more than a cosmetic bandage over deeper wounds. Yet others seemed genuinely intrigued, hoping the series might correct its most glaring problems in the next installment. But from a practical standpoint, the new season does not yet have a confirmed release date, nor has the staff or cast been officially revealed. People are left to wonder if changes will be made behind the scenes, or if we will see the same core team continuing the adaptation. A vital question arises here. Given the widespread discontent, why push forward with a second season so soon? One theory is that the streaming numbers, despite the controversy, remain high enough to justify continuing. Another hypothesis is that the licensing agreements were set in stone before the first episode even aired, making a Season 2 announcement more of a contractual obligation than a reaction to audience reception. Of course, there is also the possibility that the producers truly believe they can salvage the adaptation. Regardless of the driving force, fans who support the anime are overjoyed, while its most staunch critics are digging in deeper, intensifying calls for a reboot or even a total cancellation. We should also talk about the core storyline of the beginning after the end, and why it lent itself so easily to high expectations. The tale follows Arthur Lewin, a reincarnated king who enters a mystical realm where power dynamics revolve around mana and magical prowess. One would expect dynamic battles, robust character arcs, and a gradual unfolding of complex lore. All these components are indeed present in the webcomic, balancing comedic beats with deadly serious encounters, lighthearted banter with heavy themes of responsibility and destiny. Fans were absolutely captivated by how meticulously the source material built an immersive experience, especially with the layering of Arthur's past life experiences into his new identity. So, given how rich this base is, it is no wonder that people anticipated a stunning anime adaptation. Yet, as critics point out, certain arcs were glossed over or condensed to fit the structure of a one-core season. The fear now is that Season 2, if it continues in the same vein, might not address these pacing and narrative issues. However, officials associated with the production have promised a deeper dive into Arthur's personal evolution and the supporting cast. These statements might be lip service, or they could indeed herald a more faithful portrayal in the future. Still, it is impossible to shake the tension that sprang from that initial wave of disappointment. In a sense, we have arrived at a fascinating juncture. Can the adaptation course correct and win back the trust of the fan base? Or will the negativity overshadow any attempt to align with the original spirit of the webcomic? At this point, you might be wondering, what role does Crunchyroll play here? Throughout numerous press releases, Crunchyroll has offered special previews and behind-the-scenes glimpses intended to reignite excitement. They have teased the potential for grander battles, deeper character development, and more loyalty to TurtleMe's vision. Right now, with the first season nearing completion, a portion of the audience is either cautiously optimistic or bracing themselves for a potential train wreck. And that sense of uncertainty is actually fueling even more debate online. Some watchers are reluctant to give the show another chance, while others argue that the second season could rectify the adaptation's missteps. In the midst of all this, is the backlash justified, or could it be an overreaction? Many webcomic enthusiasts suggest that they are not trying to stifle creativity or hamper new interpretations. Rather, they feel that the anime missed the essence of the story. Meanwhile, casual viewers, who have never read the source, often claim that they found the beginning after the end to be a fun, if somewhat inconsistent fantasy romp. These contrasting viewpoints have created a divide in the fan base, leading to intense online debates. Some are eager to see more original content from the anime, while others strictly want a faithful replication of the webcomic's arcs and character journeys. Of course, not every corner of the fandom is in turmoil. There are fans who appreciate the anime for what it is, praising certain set pieces or the voice actors who have tried to bring Arthur to life. In fact, the voice cast has garnered attention for injecting moments of genuine heartfelt emotion into certain scenes, even when the pacing felt rushed. Interestingly, smaller fandom circles have been celebrating these highlights, theorizing about how supporting characters will evolve in the next season. They point to the petition as a necessary wake-up call, but not a death knell for the entire adaptation. As the conversation unfolds, it is worth noting how these controversies can sometimes lead to constructive outcomes in the industry. Historically, a creator's flexible response to fan feedback has occasionally led to mid-series changes or reboots with improved quality. However, large production committees often have contractual obligations and schedules that do not easily bend to public opinion, especially after significant investments have already been made. Whether these companies will integrate fan critiques into second season planning remains the million-dollar question. Now, before we unpack the final part of this saga, here is another friendly reminder. If you have been fascinated by the twists and turns of this narrative, consider subscribing to stay updated on how this second season evolves. The entire story could take yet another unexpected turn, and you will not want to miss it when it does. Returning to the immediate future, all eyes are on the finale, set to air on that fateful Wednesday in June. Crunchyroll's preview hints at a post-credits scene that might provide vital clues about the direction of Season 2. The newly unveiled design of Arthur has already drawn fresh opinions. Some on social media are calling it a bold statement of improvement, while others see it as purely cosmetic. Perhaps the real change that fans desire will be found in the show's narrative structure, the pacing, or the respect for critical plot points from TurtleMe's pages. Since no official word exists on how the creative process might shift, viewers are left to interpret cryptic statements and promotional material. This has only amplified the sense of anticipation and dread that have come to define the beginning after the end. Looking at the broader context, anime adaptations of popular webcomics have been a growing trend, signaling increased collaboration between creative platforms. This has led to both incredible success stories and heartbreaking disappointments. Solo Leveling, for example, was announced with huge fanfare, creating a blueprint for how to handle an eagerly awaited adaptation. Some fans pinned similar expectations on the beginning after the end, perhaps unfairly so, depending on your perspective. After all, each story and each production crew is different, but the key lesson is always the same. The more beloved the source material, the more intense the scrutiny will be when an adaptation arrives. Adding to the tension are broader issues in the anime industry itself. With so many new shows vying for attention, studios face immense pressure to stand out. This can lead to corner cutting or rushed post-production. There are also constraints related to market demands, merchandising, and the relentless hunger for the next big thing. Could these factors have contributed to the questionable decisions made early in the show's production? Perhaps. But at the end of the day, fans want to see their cherished characters brought to life with the depth and complexity they have grown to love over many chapters. As for the series creator, TurtleMe, that statement calling for patience is still fresh in the minds of the community. Some believe that fan pressure might nudge the author and production teams to reevaluate their approach. Others are resigned to the idea that this second season will proceed exactly as planned, with minimal changes, effectively doubling down on the style introduced in Season 1. In many ways, the tension itself is driving hype. Whether people love or hate the adaptation, they are curious to see if the show can reinvent itself, or if it will simply rehash the same formula. Looking ahead, one might say the real risk is that if Season 2 fails to meet expectations again, the brand of the beginning after the end could suffer long-term damage. The webcomic's popularity is still substantial, but repeated missteps in adaptation might erode goodwill, hurting the chances of future expansions or spin-off projects. On the flip side, if the team behind the show delivers a stronger narrative that resonates with viewers, it could transform from controversy-ridden underdog to redemptive success story. It is not unheard of for anime to find their footing after a shaky start, particularly if the creators take fan feedback seriously. In the meantime, perhaps the only certainty is that no resolution will fully please everyone. Adaptations often veer off into new territory, and some fans love that creative freedom, while others feel betrayed by deviations from the source. If the controversies surrounding the beginning after the end have demonstrated anything, it is that passion runs deep, deeper than many realized. It is precisely this passion that led to a petition amassing more than 50,000 signers an astonishing show of collective dissatisfaction. That same passion goes hand in hand with hopeful speculation that maybe, just maybe, the second season can rectify what went wrong during the anime's rocky debut. So, here we stand on the precipice of a new chapter. Episode 12 is around the corner. The rumored rejuvenation of Arthur's journey beckons. A creative team stands at a crossroads, with half the fandom ready to champion a dramatic improvement, and the other half protesting or threatening to walk away entirely. Yet the question that hovers overhead is simple. Can a fresh look and a renewed promise heal the divide? Or will it take far more than a stylistic overhaul to restore faith in this adaptation? This is the drama that makes anime fandom so intense, and, paradoxically, so enthralling as well. After all, the interplay between creators and audiences has always shaped how stories evolve. Ultimately, the interplay here might either spark a new era for the beginning after the end, or stand as a cautionary tale for future webcomic adaptations. Only time, and the final verdict from fans, will reveal which path the series will follow. Whatever the case, do not lose sight of the possible silver lining. When creative minds acknowledge issues and take them on board, the resulting transformations can be remarkable. Some of the greatest renaissances in anime history have sprung from passionate discourse around flawed beginnings. While nobody can say for sure if that will happen here, the fact that fans still deeply care enough to launch petitions and flood comment sections is a testament to the story's emotional impact. If it did not matter, they would not bother. In closing, as we count down the days to that pivotal season finale, the entire fandom seems to be holding its breath, waiting for that post-credits scene that might redefine everything, one way or another. Stay tuned. Keep the conversation alive, and remember that your input may indeed help shape the next phase of the beginning after the end.